Hello and welcome back to COVID-19 updates. So in today's video I'm going to be doing something a bit different, and I've thought about it, and we're going to be turning this more into a news channel than specifically just about coronavirus. So, Trump nominates Amy Coney Barrett to Supreme Court, setting up election year confirmation battle. So President Donald Trump announced on Saturday that he would nominate Judge Amy Coney Barrett to fill in the vacancy left by the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court. She is a woman of unparalleled achievement, towering intellect, sterling credentials, and unyielding loyalty to the Constitution, Trump said, at the event hosted at the White House Rose Garden. Barrett's selection comes just a week after Ginsburg died from complications due to cancer found in her pancreas. President Donald Trump announced on Saturday that he will nominate Judge Amy Coney Barrett to fill the vacancy left by the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court. She is a woman of unparalleled achievement, towering intellect, sterling credentials, and an unyielding loyalty to the Constitution, Trump said, at an event hosted at the White House Rose Garden. Barrett is a 48-year-old federal appeals court judge, favoured by social conservatives and the religious right. Her confirmation to replace Ginsburg, a feminist icon who sat on the bench for 27 years, would solidify a 6-3 majority for the Republican appointees on the bench for the foreseeable future. Trump's announcement came just 38 days before voters will decide whether he will hold in the White House for a second term, and he is bound to have a profound reverberations on all three branches of government. Barrett's selection comes just a week after Ginsburg died from complications due to a cancer found in her pancreas. She will be buried in Arlington National Cemetery next week. Ginsburg, who had in the past publicly sparred with the president, said in a statement issued while she was dying that it was her most fervent wish that she would not be replaced until after Election Day. That comment and the precedent Republicans set in 2016 when they opposed former President Obama's nominee to the bench prompted a battle over Democrats and Republicans over to replace a vote on a new nominee would take place before November 3rd. Barrett had long been anticipated as a potential nominee to the Supreme Court, and it came as a surprise to some when Trump passed over her in favour of Justice Brett Kavanaugh to fill the seat vacated by Anthony Kennedy. Trump reportedly said at the time that he was just saving Barrett for Ginsburg. Trump had repeatedly pressed for a vote ahead of Election Day, and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, RK, said that there is more than enough time to do so. Despite his 2016 posture that prohibited a vote on Obama's nominee, Merrick Garland, Trump has said that his desire to have a conservative judge confirmed before the election stems from his belief that the outcome of the race will depend on the Supreme Court, as it did in the 2000 case with Bush versus Gore. That prospect and a coming clash at the court over the legality of the Affordable Care Act have further inflamed the confirmation fight. Democratic nominee Joe Biden and his allies in Congress have blasted the president's decision to nominate a justice. During a speech in Philadelphia, Biden said of Ginsburg that we should not heed her final call to us, not a personal service to her, but as a service to the country, our country at the crossroads. But it appears Republicans will have the votes they needed. Two moderate Republican senators, Susan Collins of Maine and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, came out in opposition to holding a vote, but failed to attract other defectors. McConnell needs 50 of the Senate's 53 Republicans to stay in line, given Vice President Mike Pence's ability to cast a tie-breaking vote. Any selection Trump could have made was likely to be conscientious, but Barrett could prove especially so. Barrett, who Trump appointed to the 6th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals over the place of religion on the High Court and the future of abortion rights in the United States. Democrats are worried that Barrett's deeply held Catholic faith will bias her in cases that could cause the court to revisit Roe v. Wade, the landmark 1973 case that legalized abortion. They have pointed to Barrett's comments to students suggested that their legal careers were a means to building the kingdom of God, and a 1998 paper to which Barrett explored whether Orthodox Catholic judges should rescue themselves from cases concerning the death penalty. In a paper, Barrett referred to aborted fetuses as unborn victims. Barrett wrote in the article, co-authored with a professor while in law school, that a Catholic Church's opposition to the death penalty provided a reason for federal judges to rescue themselves in capital cases. She wrote that the same logic did not apply to abortion or euthanasia. We might distinguish between executing criminals and killing the aged and the unborn in this way. Criminals deserve punishment for their crimes. Aged and unborn victims are innocent, she wrote. Meanwhile, Barett's path to confirmation is bolstered by support among social conservatives who accuse Democrats of attempting to put a religious test in the way of the Supreme Court vacancy. Barrett has only considered 2 cases touching on abortion as federal appeals court judge, in both cases voting down to reconsider rulings that struck down abortion restrictions. In both appeals, Barrett signed onto opinions authored by another judge, asking that independently outlining her thinking, making an assessment of her abortion jurisprudence more complicated. Shortly after Trump's election, Barrett was reported on Friday night liberal groups started slamming the decision. The country already opposes rushing a pick through, so much to the election, but in selecting Amy Coney Barrett, Donald Trump has chosen the person most likely to turbocharge the intensity of the opposition in this whole process, said Brian Fallon, the executive director of the progressive advocacy group Demand Justice. It confirmed Barrett would be the youngest member of the Supreme Court. Her confirmation would make Trump the 5th president to name 3 appointees to the bench since Ronald Reagan. Hearings are expected to begin on October 12th, which would be the fastest an associate justice nominee has gotten a hearing since the retired Justice Anthony Kennedy was nominated in 1987. The dogma lives loudly within you. One comment in particular from Senator Dianne Feinstein, Deputy California, I think something like that, to Barrett energized conservatives and became something of a rallying cry. During Barrett's confirmation hearing in September of 2016, Feinstein said she had concerns related to the past statements about religion. I think in your case, Professor, when you read your speeches, the conclusion one draws is that the dogma lives loudly within you, and that's of concern, Feinstein said. Conservatives promptly put versions of the statement on merchandise as a sign of protest. The dogma lives loudly within you. Now it lives loudly on your shirt. Reading one headline in the Daily Wire, a conservative outlet. Democrats are likely to choose their words conservative in Barrett's confirmation hearings, but whether she will make decisions based on her faith is expected to be a prominent line of inquiry. Barrett has also courted controversy with her membership in a small, primarily Catholic organisation called People of Praise. Members of the group swear to uphold so-called covenants and are held accountable to their advisors. Female advisors were referred to as handmaidens until the term introduced into popular culture by the dystopian television show Hulu's The Handmaid's Tale, based on the Margaret Atwood novel. Critics of the group have called it a cult, and the idea of a justice on the Supreme Court being accountable to a spiritual leader crossed the typical bounds defining the separation between the church and the state. As with Feinstein's comments during Barrett's confirmation, the controversy over Barrett's membership in People of Praise similarly led to conservative backlash against what some saw as an anti-Catholic bigotry. Conservatives deny that the group is a cult and have criticised Democrats and newspapers like the New York Times for what they say unfair attacks on religion. Conservative writer David French wrote in the National Review that a parachurch organisation such as People of Praise are misunderstood. It betrays fundamental ignorance about the ways millions of American Christians live in their lives. He wrote, noting that groups like People of Praise are common places where religious people seek advice on issues like dating, marriage, careers, and child-rearing. Words like covenant, he said, were very common. Members of the organisation have also pointed out that it is open to both Republicans and Democrats. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If so, please leave a like and subscribe and put any questions you have in the comments. Thank you.